to you, the taxpayers. And then the next person that's over me would be the Board of Supervisors, not Mr. Riley. I'm responsible to you, and I'm responsible to let them know because they set the tax base, what's going on, how it's going to impact us, and then, of course, we're going to work with Mr. Riley. But her boss, if there is one, is you. And so we need to make sure that we're doing what's right for you and that we are letting the board know how it's going to impact you based on what that book right there says, although that book is already out of date because they have changed codes. We need to keep up with it online, and that's what we need to do.
Okay, Ms. Brenda, your next question. What steps would you think that the Commissioner of Revenue's office could go green or more environmentally friendly? And do you have any plans or ideas for the future?
Would you repeat that, please?
What steps has the current Frederick County Commissioner of Revenue taken to go green, and what do you have planned to do differently or additionally in the future?
Well, I don't know what steps she's taken, but to me, going green is less paper. We need to make sure that you're using online if you're an online user. If you don't use online, because I know a lot of people here do not have email, they don't use online. I know that Bev's done a good job on trying to get people to file online. But the steps that I would do to go green have to do with revenue coming in for the future. Also, I would make sure that people use all the technology that's available to us, which includes YouTube, being notified by mail, not doing supplemental billing, not doing other people's jobs. That's what going green is, making sure that they file. Yes, filing online, but also making sure that we have the data that we need to follow up. We need to have performance indicators to find out, are we doing a good job for you? We need to have feedback. I'd like to see some kind of anonymous system where you could go online and say, there's a business next door to me, I'm a business owner, I'm anonymous, sort of like a neighborhood watch, but it's a business watch. And we would follow up on that. You don't have to call us. You can just go online, plug it in. You could use Twitter, you could use blog, you could use Facebook. There's unlimited ways that we could go green, and we're not using all of them.
Ellen, would you want to make a comment on that?
Okay. Yeah, she used the word mailing, and we're trying to avoid mailing. Mailing is definitely not green. Mailing uses postage, and mailing uses paper, and we're trying to do everything without any of those things that we possibly can. We have captured the email addresses of most of our filers for all of the monthly taxes, like the meals and lodging, the quarterly taxes, like the daily rental, business license taxes. All of you know you can pay your real estate and your personal property right online. You can file if you purchase a car. You can remove a vehicle if you sold it. You can do that all online. It costs you nothing.
Okay, the final question is the same for both of you. And we'll start with Alan first. How do you feel about the principles of limited constitutional government and fiscal responsibility?
Fiscal.
Fiscal responsibility. Fiscal responsibility and limited government, you're talking to a Republican here. You're talking to a person that's attended Tea Party meetings. It's very, very important in this country that we get a fiscal responsibility back. It starts at the federal level and it trickles down. Virginia is fortunate in that they have had very good state government. We are one of the most efficient in the state. Perfect? No, but working that way. But unfortunately, the country is not. And it is essential that we cut back on the things that federal government does for us. We cut back on the expenditure of your hard-earned dollars. We give you more say in how they are done. And you are talking to a conservative here in the ultimate sense of the word.
Okay, Brenda, your answer to that question?
First, let me say that the budget does not follow what she just said she does, because I want to cut the budget. I want to make the staff more efficient and effective. I want to develop them. I want to make sure that if you're being charged for a decal that you're not getting, and you're being charged over and over and over again, that we do something about that, because that's not right. And so those are the things that I want to do. I've said I want to cut the budget. I've said through attrition, which means when someone leaves, you're not going to replace them. You're going to see how can we do things better. How can we get rid of those 31,000 supplemental bills so that someone's not looking at a piece of paper? How many staff members does it take to look at 31,000? How do we make sure that these people who are not filing, file? They're competing with people who do things right. And when you're a small business and you're doing things right, it's up to the other people to do what they're supposed to do as well, because they're competing with you. So those are the things that I want to do to make sure that we have fiscal responsibility. Yes, I am a conservative. And yes, we have cut back in our personal budget. Has anybody here cut back in your personal budget? I haven't seen it happen at the government level. And people say to me, well, Brenda, it's not going to be worthwhile, because what if the other departments don't do it? It's got to start somewhere, and it can start at the local level, and it can go up. And that's what I intend to do when you elect me Commissioner of the Government.
I'm going to interrupt here, and I don't mean to. You said this is the final question.
That was the final question, yeah.
We kind of anticipated that this would go a little bit longer,
We'll go about another 15 minutes.
another 15 minutes.
15, 20.
I don't know if you guys would like to offer a couple of questions from.
That's up to them first.
I'm going to ask the ladies here if they mind having questions offered from the audience.
I don't mind at all having questions offered from the audience. Would love to rebut that last statement, but I'll do that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll do that in
Do
my
that in your
wrap-up.
wrap-up, yeah.
Pardon me?
I would advise doing that in your wrap-up.
I'll do it in my wrap-up. I'll be glad to.
I'm very
But
sorry.
yeah, I'll be glad to take questions from the audience. I came prepared to do that.
I'm going to, excuse me? Oh, yeah. Well, the same thing will apply. I mean, we're going to do one question.
Well, may I say something? I think that if we do questions from the audience, then you've just made everything that we've done here a moot point, don't you think? I mean, wasn't the whole purpose of having the questions in writing so that we didn't have a motion and, I mean, that's what I'm saying. So,
My suggestion, Dodie, would be give them a little bit more of a closing argument and just let it off.
That's fine.
Cut it off at that point.
I will go with that one.
because, let me say, we need to make sure that we're speaking to Frederick County voters. So,
I'm a Frederick County voter, and I have a question.
oh, I'm sure you do, Jill, I'm sure you do too. I see her.
I think in the interest, because we did have the rules, so maybe I will rethink that. And I apologize to all y'all, because, like I said, this is our first debate, and we are very new to these things. So I think that maybe we will give 5 minutes each for a closing
And I
statement.
think we thank our candidates for being prompt
We
and
definitely
righteous.
thank you for being very prompt with your answers and giving us more timely responses than we thought we had, and I appreciate it.
Ellen, would you like to make your final statements?
I'll be glad to. Unfortunately, it seems like there is still a block on the definition of a supplemental bill, and we do need to tax and get that revenue in, as both myself and my opponent have stated. In order to do that, if you buy a car in May, you should not go the rest of the year without having to pay any tax on that car, and I have to pay for a whole year just because I had the car in January. If you have to pay the $25 fee, which is now a registration fee because we don't have the stick-on decal everybody hated to scrape off, then you need to talk to your Board of Supervisors about that. I have nothing to do with, and I have no authority to add or remove that. If you don't like it, call your Board of Supervisor person, tell them. And then if you have any suggestions while you're at it, how they can make up the $2 or $2.5 million that it would take if they did away with those, I suggest you tell them that at the same time. I'm very proud of my staff. They are very efficient. I am proud of the job that I have done over these years for you. I always look for ways to save your money and yet still garner the proper revenue so that everybody is paying their own fair share. And I thank you very much for your time this evening. You've been a very polite and kind audience.
Okay, Brenda, your closing statements?
First of all, I'd like to address the $25 car sticker. It's not your responsibility to tell the Board of Supervisors where to find the $2.5 million. That's not your responsibility. That's their responsibility. You are not to be charged any more than you were supposed to be charged. And if you have more than one vehicle during the year, you're charged $25 each time. That is not necessary. Just look at the other counties around you. They do not do that. They do not have to do that. It's up to them to decide where to find the $2.5 million. And as I said, we've cut back in our personal finances, and if we're willing to say that we are fiscally responsible, then let's cut back the $2.5 million. Okay, we can do that. We've cut back in our personal finances. The government can cut back in their finances as well. The other thing is, I represent all the people. There is no party. I don't have to go to a committee meeting. I don't have to see a party member during the year. All I have to do, because I'm running independent, is see you. You are welcome in my office anytime. I will tell you what's right. We will do what's right. We do not want to pick up a piece of paper more than once, and we certainly do not want to file for businesses or people who are not doing what they're supposed to do. I know that if you're here, you're doing what you're supposed to do. And I don't know about you, but it's time that people who aren't doing what they're supposed to do start doing what they're supposed to do. And it's my job as Commissioner of Revenue to make sure that happens. There are many ways that we can do that. And I don't know what Ellen's talking about with supplemental billing. I know there's 31,000 of them. It went up from 22,000. If you elect me, it will not go up, it will go down. The budget will go down. I will fight for your $25 to be back in your pocket. If you purchase more than one car, it might be $75. I will fight for you in that way, because it is possible, and that's what happens between the two parameters, that we tell the Board of Supervisors, you cannot go below this, you cannot go above this, but you've got all this room in the middle. So let's talk about who we are as Frederick County, and what we can do, and what's happening in our people's lives right now. We also need to talk about the fact that the comprehensive plan is something that the commissioner should be involved in. And the commissioner should do fiscal impact statements, which means how is this going to impact us in the future? And we should have numbers ready for them. If you go in this scenario, here's the dollar amount. I don't see any of that being done.
Comprehensive plan or capital improvement plan?
This is my time. This is my time. I don't see any of that happening right now in the commissioner's office. We will be more friendly to you. We will put in the technology that helps you do what you need to do in a more efficient way. And you will have people who are working at the counter with job descriptions in line with other county employees, so that they're not sitting side by side with someone else and they're making $20,000 more than that person doing the same job. Those are the kinds of things that I ensure if you get me in there, if you vote me in there. And may I remind you that you are the boss, and you will tell this commissioner how you think she performed by voting at the ballot box. So I ask you to go with Bristow November the 8th, and you will see a difference in your future, and there is a tsunami coming, and we must be prepared for it. And I thank you so much for allowing me to be here tonight.
I apologize for the mix-up, but I'm glad we asked both candidates, and I certainly understand because we did have the rules of engagement here. And I'd like to thank both Ellen and Brenda. I'd also like to thank Ellen and Jack. Jack certainly makes us feel real good. I want to mention something first before I forget it. There are many campaign signs lining the road out there, and the candidates have asked me to let you know that it's okay to pick them up and take them home. They're looking for homes for the signs, and if you feel like you need to put one in your yard, you just go right ahead and pick it up and take it home with you. Rod, you had something that you wanted to...
Yeah. I looked around and I saw lots of young faces here, and I'd like to back to some more meetings with the
Yes, it's lovely to see some young people. We'd love to see you come back.
I I've got just an observation from both the candidates. One speaks of going on Twitter, Facebook, and having all of these telephones and so forth where you can read that. That's wonderful, but once you get to be 23 or 24 and don't know how to do that.
And that would be your age, right?
But the other thing, and I think that's, I don't agree with all of that because not everybody is on all of these little things. And the other part is we know that communist countries, we have China, we have Russia, and what have they used as the color of their theme? Red. And we see that Ms. Murphy here has got all the red people. So I think that both of them ought to think about what they're doing.
Republican red.
I do have one gentleman that wants to mention something to you that is related to voting in veterans or members of our military. And Danny would like to speak to us for a couple minutes, 2 or 3 or 4 minutes to let us know something that we might be interested in knowing about. This is Danny Lanning, for those who might not know him. He is going to talk to us.
The other day, in fact, before I met Alice, I was en route to the ordinance committee meeting. And I went by the voter registrations office and talked to Mr. Miller. Mr. Miller, right up front, I want to say he's an exceptional individual. He's very honest. And I have a lot of faith in the individual. But my concern was the Motor Act, the federal act in regards to the military that is getting shot at, dying, serving to protect us and our freedom. And I asked how many absentee ballots he had sent out to our military personnel that's fighting overseas. His response was 5. And I almost fell, okay? And I asked, well, why is there so many? It's because when they fill out their FPCA, which is a request for absentee ballot that they're going to be out of the country or serving at one of the bases, it was good for 2 years. And I asked, well, how many absentee ballots to our military personnel did you send out for 2008 election? 128. That's why the drop-off is because he hasn't gotten any more FPCAs. As a matter of fact, the ordinance has changed in the state of Virginia twice since then. And it's very confusing. If they filed between July the 1st of 2010 and October the 26th of 2010, it was only good for 1 year. Between October 27th and June 30th, November the 30th of 2012 it's good for. And then the rest of the time. So it's been changed twice. We have a problem coming, as we all know, with our 2012 election. ACORN is still out there. Voter fraud is still going on. We need to get with our state representatives and even our federal representatives and ascertain what can be made easier for our soldiers that's fighting to protect us, to assure that their constitutional right has not been removed from them because they're out getting killed and getting shot, protecting us. So please, let's get with our state representatives to find out why it's changed. Let's get with our federal representatives to find out why they can't get the military, that when they receive an absentee ballot from the person's jurisdiction, they cannot forward on to where that individual has been stationed to. Their mail's forwarded on, so what's wrong with the absentee ballot being passed on? I did a quick synopsis. Roughly 120 ballots was not sent out. Frederick County alone, and there's 3,500 counties across the United States. Figure Frederick County as an average, because there's a lot of counties that have more people fighting, more of our people are there fighting for us. 50 counties have less. using Frederick County as an average, it's almost 500,000 votes. That's enough to rig an election. Thank you.
I think that we are going to conclude. I'd like to thank everybody for coming this evening. Our next meeting is going to be on October 27th, and we are going to have small talk on the fair tax. It's also going to be candidates night for those who, yes, ma'am.
13th, we've got Constitution.
We're going to have a Constitution class here on the 13th for a couple hours.
6:30 to 8:30.
We might have movie night on the 20th. Definitely on the 27th, it's going to be candidates night, and we have a couple nailed down. I think that Scott McCafferty's going to come. Branson Miller has said that he was going to come. I think Gary Lofton is sending a letter, and Ross Spicer, I talked with him, and he's checking his schedule, and we're going to talk with other candidates. So we'd love to see you guys come back. Thank you very much. Thank everybody, the candidates, and